people who have signed NDAs that have now expired or for whatever reason are no longer valid. What couldn't you tell us but now can? I signed an agreement at my last job that I'd never sue them over anything ever. In exchange, I was allowed to get yearly raises. After I left that job, I joined a class action suing them for making me sign that and holding raises hostage. Made quite a bit from that. Google doesn't hire direct support employees. They open small projects in the US, hire up to 250 contract employees of varying support positions for the project. Once they get the stats needed to run everything efficiently, they have mass layoffs and outsource their jobs to a country, Philippines/India, that's willing to accept much less than their US counterpart. At the same time, Google rakes in a huge tax cut because they're creating jobs in the local communities. Edit. Yes, this includes YouTube and YouTube content review. Mini Cooper/BMW replaced our car because the high-pressure fuel pump failed 6 times within 6 months. However, the recorded reason for the replacement of the car was because of stained interior from dirty mechanic hands, so it wasn't replaced via the Lemon Law. A huge part of The Bachelorette was scripted. The company I worked for at the time was a major tourism service provider and featured prominently in one of the seasons. We were all pulled into meetings with the higher-up managers, given a spiel about what was in our best interest. And spilling any secrets was punishable by a $5 million lawsuit. Please sign here. I gave zero fucks about the show at the time. Still don't. Just wanted to do my job. The Bachelorette herself was clearly there to further her public profile or acting career. The scenes were always set up before filming. Behind the camera, nothing was happening. The cast were told where to go, what to do, and how to do it. If half those guys weren't on their phones texting their real girlfriends most of the time, I would be surprised. So fake. So 100% fake. I was actually an actor in that commercial that said I worked for a short time as a QA tester at EA, and wasn't allowed to talk about the game I was testing, the console port for The Sims 4. There wasn't really much to talk about, but since the first few versions were basically just running the PC version on a console, there were a lot of bugs with it. One of the worst was a lighting bug we started referring to as disco mode, since it caused a bunch of multicolored squares to show up on everything at night or in dark areas. I signed an NDA once when I was an extra on Mortal Engines. If you watch the movie, you'll learn more than I did on set. My boss got drunk at a conference and tried to get in my hotel bed. She forced me to share a room with her and declared our room pants free after 9 p.m. She got drunk at a baseball game and tried to switch shirts with me in front of co-workers and clients, and when I quit because of it, she left me a message saying, "You're just a 22-year-old little bit." Kraft Macaroni and Cheese are coming out with a more modern and upscale version to expand their market from lower-income folks to higher-income folks. It is almost entirely the same product as the 69-cent blue box, but will have a lighter, less orangey color. They will be sold as shells and not macaroni. The box will be shaped differently, and it will go for $2.50 or more. Stated to be released by 1995. Posted this before, if it sounds familiar. Not me, but a guy I know was on Cash Cab. A lot of it was faked. He was told he would be on a travel food show and would get picked up by a fake taxi at a certain location at a certain time. There were camera crews all over outside the taxi, and there's no way on earth you might mistake it for a real cab. Sony got hacked over that North Korea movie because of a 5-year-old account they didn't delete or monitor from an ex-employee. House Hunters guest checking in. I never made the show because I didn't close on the house. 1. I had to have the house under contract before going on the show. 2. They would select the other houses we were interested in. 3. I was assigned another SO who was more interesting than my actual SO. I worked security for a preview screening of Beauty and the Beast like 8 months before it came out. Shot a documentary about an episode of Extreme Homemaker. Couldn't talk about it until it was announced to the family and local community. You could get free satellite TV without any hacking or hardware mods. Call up your Dish or DirecTV phone line, add everything you want to get. Wait until it all appears on your account and you can watch it. Then, unplug all the hardware in your system and give them a call back, saying it wasn't you or you changed your mind, or you only had it for visiting family or whatever. Take it back down to the bare minimum or turn it off completely. Wait at least 24 hours, preferably a good 2 or 3 days. Then, plug your shit back in and continue to enjoy everything. This has been known to work for years for a lot of people. Satellite TV is one-way communication, so the only way they update your programming authorizations is to send a signal to your specific hardware. Sending satellite signals for single customers is expensive, so they don't keep doing it. When your system gets the update to turn on all the channels, it sticks until you make a change. All you have to do is skip that downgrade signal. Amazon made me sign one when I worked with a company that painted their airplanes before the public knew they had them. I did the FAA paperwork. I was literally only one of like 7 people to see their airplane fully purple with their logo on it. I was actually taken off of the project for a day because they thought I lied about not having a Facebook. They meant business. There is going to be a Capri Sun sports flavor in roughly 2003. I was a taste tester for Kraft Foods when I was 10. We didn't sign an NDA, but it was supposed to be a secret. I work in the entertainment industry. Have to sign NDAs for everything, also with some celebs, personal and professional encounters. Saw movies like it in Thor, Ragnarok well before release. Marvel has very intense NDAs. I'm not really sure if what I saw was declassified or expired, so I can't give specifics. I participated in arming and training some militia groups in Iraq to fight ISIS that had highly questionable motives and very little vetting done on them. I'm pretty sure that if we didn't need the cannon fodder for the siege of Mosul, that we would probably be bombing and drone striking some of the groups that we were busy passing out guns to. Also, I once had an IED dog alert on a truck that had a highly concerning amount of brain matter and slash on it. I mean, yeah, any amount would be suspect. But there was like 5 or 6 people's worth of brains there. I've seen head pops and know how much brains get around, and there was a lot more than that present. We had dragged him from the vehicle and were preparing to conduct a more thorough search. We were ordered via radio to stand down and let the guy, who was eerily cheerful about driving a truck plastered from bed to hood in human brain matter, continue on his way. He gave me a pack of smokes, smiled, and said he took no offense to our search and understood how troubling the situation must appear, that he felt that we were welcome guests in his country, and that he hoped we had a nice day, then drove off. No fucking clue WTF that was about. I hope this doesn't get buried, because after reading a lot of these, I feel like it's important. An NDA isn't enforceable if you had to sign it to keep your job. Basically, a contract has to benefit both parties. It's called consideration. Continued employment doesn't rise to that level. A raise would, but just saying sign this to keep your job wouldn't fly. So if you're ever in that situation at work, you should refuse. I mean, if the company wants you to sign an NDA, they probably won't fire you and incentivize you to run around telling everybody what they want to keep secret. You'd be in a position to negotiate, as you should. Contracts are supposed to be mutually beneficial. Also, no one can make you sign a contract. Ever. If you see something fucked up happen, and you want to tell people about it, there's nothing anyone can do to actually stop you if you don't sign an NDA. Which you don't have to do. Recycling company would throw away a lot of stuff. They collected the money from government subsidies, while leaving the employees to a shit salary in a hazardous workplace. R/OSHA would have freaked out. That included having dirty syringes. Thank God I didn't get stabbed by one, where people would sort the materials. It was awful. Worked at a matchmaking company. It's all bullshit, it's just throwing darts at a wall until something sticks. There's no science or magic to it at all. Apple 100% replaced the iPhone 4 for users because of a shitty antenna. We were instructed to dodge, deflect, and deny this was the issue. Cell phone providers were shit. The phone was a fluke. It didn't matter. Don't admit fault. But if they were there for reception, vs water damage, buttons, or battery life, you had to make sure you were swapping them with the newer batch iPhone 4 swaps rather than the typical batch swaps. It was a recall without being a recall. But only if you had reception issues. In 1990, I signed an NDA at Chili's when they showed me how to make their new Awesome Blossom. No other restaurant in town had anything like it, and it was hugely popular at the time. A certain global conferencing company still saves passwords for their web products in plain text. Any, and I mean any, employee that works there can see the password. My password there was not my pass, you idiot, because I know other people would see it eventually, and they'd even comment/laugh about it. Also, we once discovered that our main conferencing software was letting you sign in regardless of the password you entered. Meaning you could sign in with any email address. Once we brought it up, we first were immediately stonewalled, and told not to say anything about it in written format. TLDR, they had the dev team and legal on a conference call and they decided it was best to just keep it quiet until they fixed it later that day. No client was to be notified of the issue. And the ones that knew of it were basically given a runaround until they gave up. They also added call spoofing to the software. They called it something fancier, but it was call spoofing. You could make a call and make it appear from any number you wanted. My team raised this concern many times, but were countered with no one will actually use it for that. K. That place was a goldmine of security risks. I was a model for a few big-name / well-known makeup companies. I did several print ads for magazines and a few television commercials. The makeup artists do use the product advertised, but minimally. Like that mascara they're touting? It's over really good fake eyelashes, and they also used another brand of mascara along with the one they're trying to sell you. Also, the clothes in the ads you see are pinned to high heaven on the model. They fit nothing like they look. It's not you. It's not your body. It's fake advertising. Most of us models look just like you wearing that crap without all the pins and tucks and double-sided tape. I signed an NDA to waitress at a local family-owned restaurant. The owner was nuts, definitely had a severe personality disorder, and was worried about his recipes getting leaked. The restaurant is dead now, and his secret recipes consisted almost solely of frozen packaged food. Edit. Guys. Stop trying to guess what restaurant it is. You never will. There are millions of family-owned places with crazy bosses that go under. You don't know the place, and I'm not gonna tell you. Also, Mr. Krabs pays his employees enough to own houses and pets. I wish I worked for him. A government, in 1972, identified a terrorist by his wife's breasts. From satellite images. A friend of mine got a job at a prominent local distillery that makes an extremely popular flavored whiskey. They literally buy whiskey from a third-party distillery and dump Torani flavoring syrup into it. I was an intern at Wells Fargo, and we were grouped with other interns across the US and given a project to work on aside from our normal intern responsibilities. My group was tasked to look at their current incentive program and the one they were moving to, and then come up with various ways they could be improved. 2 weeks before our presentation, someone way above each of our managers had us shred all our work and sign NDAs. A couple years later, the story broke about their incentive programs where employees were opening up fraudulent accounts for customers in order to gain more incentive rewards. I was a translator, contractor, for the US military. I also translated Marvel comic books. Marvel had tighter security. Like, comment, subscribe, share, download, embed, save, dab, yeet. Have a great day, fan.